Hey guys, Happy New Year. We are back with season 13, episode 4 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. This episode was called From One Surprise to Another. But the surprise actually is that not much happened in this episode, if we're going to really be honest, but it's fine. It gave us enough to talk about, so let's get into it. So, first thing on our list is Cynthia, Mal, and Kenya go to yoga. Now, I enjoyed yoga back in the day. I used to do it in college. I would schedule it on semesters where I didn't have like enough credits or whatever. So it'll be like my last class of the day, so I could just de-stress from all the people that have tried me and my existence throughout the day. I need to get back into it for 2021. I'm thinking between, my therapy and yoga, I should be able to get back my chi. Because if I'm honest with myself in my Iyanla mindset, I've allowed people and situations to diminish my light. And one of my New Year's resolutions is to just, woosah, let go, let God, and just get back to me. But this is not about me. Getting back to Kenya, Cynthia, and Mal. The big takeaway from this one was that they were basically just, revisiting Cynthia's marriage and the whole 10-10-20 date. It seemed that Mal and Kenya came from a really good place. Mal took a little bit of a backseat to Kenya with, what they were saying essentially. But was it me, or was Kenya just mad aggressive? Like, for myself, I can't absorb something when you're yelling at me. Like, if it doesn't matter how good of what you're saying is, if your delivery is whack, I'm going to take it a certain way. And it just seemed like she was just like, her volume was like at 10 and she should have brought it down to about 4. And then eventually Cynthia had to just start yelling too in order to get her point across, because when someone is yelling at you and not letting you get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to like raise your volume to get there. It just seemed like an unnecessary shouting match. So the main takeaway from this is it's not always what you say, it's how you say it. Next, we head over to Kenya and Candy at the restaurant, which just really culminated in Kenya shading Portia on her activism work. And also, did you get into the bait and switch of that whole little engagement party that Kenya's trying to throw Cynthia? I was like, after a while, I was like, is Kenya throwing the party or is Candy throwing the party? But then what you have to realize is Kenya is not universally liked in the group, but Candy is. So if the invitations come from Kenya, only half the girls finna show up. You're not gonna get Marlo. You're not gonna get Tanya either, because Tanya don't mess with you after that whole C comment. We won't even get into that, but y'all know what I'm saying. But Candy is universally liked in the group. So if Candy extends an invitation, everybody coming out. Everybody coming out. If Kenya extends the invitation, people are going to be like, I might come through, And so because of that, she basically had to use Candy as a way to get the other girls interested in it, which I understand, but it was definitely a bait and switch. Now, going to the meat of the episode, we really get into Drew and Ralph. They finally go to therapy, which I am such a big proponent of mental health. Mental health is so important. If you can understand your own mind, why you do the things that you do, why you react to things the way that you do, you can really just improve your relationships in life, and with others, your relationships with yourself and with others through mental health. So we're introduced to the therapist Love, and I really love her name. If I ever have a child, I'm going to name them something that makes people smile when you basically hear it. Love, I think it was Love McPherson. I'm gonna look her up, because usually after these therapists show up on these housewife shows, their bookings go through the roof. So if she's in my area, I might need to be calling you, Love. See if you can help me out. Breaking down their therapy, I wrote down some notes just in terms of what they were each trying to get across. And I really liked how the therapist was like, give me your top 3 things of what's not working in the relationship or what you really want to change. And for Drew, it was just transparency. It was love for her child, and it was also more peace and less anger. And I understood all 3 of those points that she basically made for that one. Just dealing with Ralph over these past couple episodes, you could definitely see, transparency. You can't be running off to Tampa 450 miles away to clear your big head. Genuine love for her child. We haven't really seen the child yet, but from what I understand, Drew has a child from a prior relationship. And when Ralph and her got married, he basically, became like I guess a stepfather. So Drew's basic issue there is treat my child the way you treat your own biological children. Don't just give him tough love, give him actual love, teach him how to be a man, which if you're going to get with a woman that already has children, you're going to need to be able to integrate that child into your life and make it feel like it's a part, Lord Jesus, make him feel like he's a part of your life. And then also more peace, less anger. It seems like whenever Ralph and Drew start talking about issues, it just ends up in an argument. So I totally get that. Now, Ralph, on the other hand, he only had two things. Love asked you for 3. You only came up with 2. But for Ralph, because men are simple, which we come to find out, Ralph wants respect. And I told you this in a prior episode. Your mom kind of is aggressive when it comes to Ralph, and if he's the king of the castle, it's kind of hard to be that when you have an alpha female that's your mom and they're just going to be, combative and bumping heads. And then he wants sex 3 times a week. Now, at first, when I heard it, I was like, sex 3 times a week, sex 3 times a week. And then I was like, you know what? He is absolutely right. If you are in a relationship 3 times a week, there's 7 days in a week, okay? You can get buzzed down, Tatiana, 3 days out of the 7 days, and that's a minimum. That's fine. If I was in a relationship, because I'm celibate right now, praise Jesus, trying to get back in touch with my chi. Ooh, shabala, habala, bala. If I was in a relationship, I would think that we would, be having sex at least 3 times a week. That seems pretty much normal. Every day, I might not be feeling it every day, but 3 times a week, that's not too much to ask for. So, Drew, you need to keep your husband sexed up, because if you don't, another woman will. And what's that old song? The cleanup woman is a woman who takes all the love you girls leave behind. So I know you have problems with Ralph, but sometimes if one aspect of your relationship is working, the sex aspect, you can sort of translate those common threads to the other parts that may not seem as difficult if the whole sex aspect is there. They say relationships break up for 2 reasons: sex and money. So it seems like y'all got enough money from what we see on TV. Sex, money, and really communication. So if you have the money, you work on the sex, and you just work on the communication as well, y'all should be fine. We also find out during this therapy session, Ralph just seems really insincere. Drew started crying, and Ralph was just like looking at her sideways, and it just didn't seem like he was caring. It seemed like the therapist had to really pull it out of him to, be that caring, nurturing person, and, seeing Drew for who she is, and the fact that she's showing emotion means that she's hurt, which means that she needs to be comforted. So it was really pivotal when she was like, please cover her. It just reminded me of that whole, I don't know if you guys checked out Fantasia. She had done some sort of interview where she was talking about one of the first things her husband, before he was her husband, told her was, can I cover you? And that's just it's such a beautiful thing to think about. Can I cover you in prayer? Can I cover you? Can I be your protector? Can I look over you? And I really feel that Drew's lacking that in this relationship. So hopefully through this therapy session, even though this was the first one, they start receiving some nuggets that they can use moving forward. Also, did you get into the fact that how Ralph weaved in that story about his mom in terms of him leaving, and once he came back, he was able to get an apology? It seemed a little bit weird, but it sort of made sense for his psychology in terms of why he feels that he can disappear and then just show back up and everything's fine. Because he's thinking that once he leaves and he comes back, you're gonna, think, what did I do wrong? What mistake did I make? Can I fix this? And you're gonna give him an apology. It's a really backwards way of doing it. And it's sort of like what do they call that thing? It's like a reverse psychology thing, which clearly is not working the situation. So all I know is that, listen, if you leave me for 3 days and I don't hear from you, you don't need to come back. Like, at the first day, I'm gonna be like, okay, you know, he needs his space. The second day, I'm gonna be playing Tony Braxton 7 whole days, and then the third day, I'm gonna be over you, and I'm gonna be playing Khalees. I hate you so much right now, but that's just me. So hopefully they figure that out, and Ralph gets to the root of his issues as it relates to the marriage. Next we move over. Actually, before we get to that, Ralph's father passed away. So condolences to Ralph, Drew, and their entire family. I have such a an odd relationship with death because I've never experienced it for myself in terms of someone immediate to me dying. I've always experienced it as a brother of, or a friend of, or a parent of someone else. So I mean, I take my hat off to Ralph and Drew as they're dealing with this. It has to be hard. I just hope that the death of his father doesn't sort of minimize their issues, because although that should take the foreground right now in terms of Ralph getting through that, you still need to keep in mind that you have issues that predated what's going on right now. So it's okay to put them on the back burner for right now. Just make sure that you get back to them eventually. So going from that, we get into Portia's party. And at first when I heard that Portia's being thrown a party for her activism work, I was like, okay, this is why Kenya is over here shading Portia, because she thinks it's insincere. But later we find out it's just because, you know, Portia's friends and family thought that she was an inspiration for her activism work, which is perfectly fine. Now the big drama of this whole situation was that Kenya was not invited by Portia's sister Lauren. Did I get that right? Kenya was not invited by Portia's sister Lauren. Too many names to keep track of sometimes. And I'm Team Lauren in this matter. Portia and Kenya are not friends. They are surface level friends. If they did not have this show in common, they would not be friends together. And that has just shown from the entire time of when Portia and Kenya have been interacting. And I'm glad that they showed that sort of list of clips of all the times where Kenya had, you know, shaded Portia, or they had their issues going back and forth. And Lauren's like, listen, this is a very positive moment for my sister. I'm throwing this because I love her. And I just feel that you might be a distraction. And rightfully so. I think she was right to do that. Now, Cynthia, because she wanted Kenya to come, was like, you know, I'll make sure she's on her best behavior. Can I extend the invitation? And Lauren begrudgingly said, okay, just make sure, you know, that's your girl. Make sure that she's together and that you've prepped her for this. And then, you know, she extended the invitation through there. We later come to find out, I guess the day of the event, that Lauren thought about it and she just felt very apprehensive about Kenya coming. I understand exactly where Lauren's coming from. Sometimes when you think about something for a while, you end up being like, you know, I really didn't want this person to come. I got talked into it against my better judgment. And I just want to make sure that this is all okay for Portia. But I feel like once you extend the invitation, to rescind it just creates more drama. So I would just let Kenya come and just dealt with whatever happened after that. Or I would have just stayed steadfast in my belief to not invite her in the first place. And when Cynthia asked, I would have said, absolutely not. It's not going to happen. But I just feel like the rescinding of that offer is just going to create more tensions down the road, which we saw in the preview for later. Candy was absolutely right. When Kenya comes to people's events, if she does not like you or she does not mess with you like that, they usually end disastrously. And Portia's event was from such a positive activism, Black Lives Matter, you know, let's do better for society place, that I understand why Lauren didn't want Kenya to come, because to me, Kenya would have been rolling her eyes, you know, talking under her breath. So I'm sort of split on it, if you can't tell. Like, I feel like once an invitation is extended, you shouldn't rescind it, but I understand why she rescinded it because of Kenya and Portia's history. The party was a really sweet moment. I really like this vein that Portia has found herself in, and I hope she continues her activism work. I think it was really important how Portia said, you didn't have to do this, for me, because I don't do it for the accolades. I do it because it's the right thing. But as I said earlier, her friend just wanted to celebrate her as an inspiration to them, and how that they can impact their circle as well as the greater community. But I think that's pretty much it. So that took us to the end of the episode. If you guys like what I said, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at daddamndasher, and I will talk to you guys later. So until next time, bye.